And everyone, the SWAC Championship is in the books for the second year in a row. Jackson State gets the win. They get the win over Southern University, 43-24. It's Saturday night, everybody. I hear there's a little bit of news going on in the SWAC around Jackson State University. I'm Tali Carr from the Atlanta HBCU Gameday studios, joined by my girl, Simone Stanley. She's going to hang out with us for a little while. Just a little while. We're trying to keep her.
You did mention it Saturday night.
Yeah.
They already know what's going on.
She has a steady diet of things to do. She's a young Gen Zer, millennial. I don't know. What are you, Gen Z?
Gen Z.
All right, the two old guys bookending it here. Dwayne Walker, you may remember Dwayne. He was on the call last week at the HBCU Gameday Classic, here to talk about the game and what is potentially next for Deion Sanders and Jackson State University. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have an organic experience tonight. We already have 503 people in the chat. And they are ready to go. So guys, here's what we're going to do. There's going to be a post-game press conference on Zoom hosted by the SWAC. We fully anticipate hearing from Deion Sanders. We fully anticipate hearing from Eric Dooley. Of course, you all want to hear from Deion Sanders because the big question is he going to announce that he's going to Colorado? Is he going to announce that he's staying at Jackson State University? Is he going to say, I don't have nothing to say, which would be an oddity for Deion Sanders. So we'll have to see. As soon as that Zoom comes up, we're going to bring it to you. But first, let's talk a little bit about the game. It was like three different games in one. First, there was Jackson State. We were betting, Dwayne, were they going to score 100 points?
Yes.
Then it was, is Southern going to come back? And then it was Jackson State put it away.
A lot of different storylines in this one. You consider Jackson State, they came out and they dominated with 26 first quarter points. So they started out really, really well. Shedeur Sanders doing his thing offensively, and they got it going. And like you said, we thought it was going to be a blowout. But let's give Southern University some credit for coming back, from fighting back. The job Glendon McDaniel did, the quarterback, another outstanding story. So compliments to Coach Eric and his squad for coming back.
Yeah, great job by Coach Dooley hanging in there. Simone, what was the vibe? You're our social media queen here, right? Were people more concerned about the game? Were they more concerned about what would Coach Prom say at halftime? Like, what was the vibe? What were people talking about on social?
All day today, yesterday, throughout the game, pregame, postgame, Tali, you know what the vibe is. Everybody wanted to know, when will they find out if he's staying or if he's going? Dwayne got so bold to even say, well, a reporter asked him straight up at halftime, are you staying? You know, the team's dominating right now. Coach Prime, will you be staying or going? I was like, Dwayne, I don't think that, you know, any reporter would be bold enough to straight up ask that halftime at a game.
Well, there's a way he could have asked it. There's a way the reporter could have asked it, in my opinion, without giving the man an ultimatum right on the spot.
If anybody was going to answer that at halftime, it would be Deion. But nobody asked him that at the half. He wasn't asked right after the game. So we will see, is this post-game press conference going to be the time where we hear a final answer from Deion's mouth, from the horse's mouth, from the tiger's mouth, instead of everyone else's mouth? But Dwayne mentioned earlier, tonight might not be the night. They are celebrating a huge win that is looming over the players' heads, that's looming over the fans' heads, and you do want them to enjoy this Saturday night SWAC Championship. But the vibe on social media is he staying or is he going?
Well, Coach Deion has made no bones about it. He wants to make the main thing. And so they come away with a huge victory, 43-24 over Southern. They win their second straight SWAC championship. And now they'll celebrate tonight. I don't think Deion Sanders would make a decision tonight to take away from this moment from Jackson State University. So it's something I definitely don't see happening tonight.
Real quick, let me answer some questions that we have going on in the chat. So Manny P says, is this going to be the post-game conference with the coaches or just the show with the commentators? I would imagine there's probably not 1,000 people in the chat waiting to hear from us.
No.
We're biding a little time until the post-game presser comes up via Zoom. So we're going to cut into that, or they will cut into us as soon as that comes up. But look, they're on the field. Right, so they're celebrating, they got trophies, they got presentations, you got to hug mama and them, so it may be a few minutes before we get to that. But look, we're being very organic. If you have some good points, Simone might read off some of your comments. People are feeling several different ways. One thing I will say about the Jackson State players, That was a heck of a mental performance, Dwayne, because these guys had to deal with all the questions, all the drama, all the we don't even know what the team knows. I would imagine, Coach Sanders has been as forthright with them as possible, but that was a heavy burden, I would think, with my sensibilities as an old man sitting here, to get out on the field and have that dominant of a performance, knowing your coach could very well be leaving the next day.
Well, Coach Deion has been speaking all week long about staying focused and finishing. He's ramped up about finishing the job at hand, and that's something that they went out and did, led by their quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, throwing for 4 touchdowns. He had those guys in sync, especially in the first half of play, with Jackson State taking advantage of opportunities, converting 23 points in that very first half off of turnovers by Southern University. So I feel as though they were locked in. A little sloppy as the game went along, especially on special teams, allowing a block punt. But other than that, all in all, they got the job done, which was the primary goal in this contest this evening.
Okay, I have something funny from the chat. So Dwayne is our analyst from the game. A lot of people are asking, where was Shiloh Sanders in the game? Jay Dizzy said Shiloh was tasked to stay at home and help mom pack the bags and furniture.
Wow.
That's kind of cold-blooded right there.
Wow.
Funny, though. Look, you can be mean if you're funny. That's what I say.
It's got to be funny. Yeah, that was funny, Jay Dizzy. Shout out.
Well, as you know, late in the year, teams do have injuries, different ailments that go on. For example, we saw Travis Hunter, Southern wide receivers caught a couple of passes on him, a couple long passes. However, Travis Hunter, I think, was gimped up and a little bit injured, and therefore he actually had to leave the game in the second half, didn't really play in the second half of play. So I don't know how much I buy into that social media post there. But yeah, it sounds practical in theory, but I genuinely don't believe that to be the case.
I don't think it was meant to literally be the case. It was, hey, you get the win for the funny comment.
Right.
All right, on the record for you.
Yes.
Do you think, with everything we've seen, and we've seen a lot of reporting here,
yes,
that Deion Sanders will be the next head coach of Colorado?
I want to say no. I would hope that he does not accept the position with Colorado, the $5 million a year. But what I do propose and what I do hope is happening, and what has happened already, is that Jackson State University and their brass and their administration have made a genuine offer to Coach Prime. We've heard some of the numbers as being reported, averaging over $5 million a year. I propose, hey, Coach Prime, we love what you've done with the program. We want to continue on. So they should be granting him an extension of, let's just say, 4 years, $21 million.
Hey, I like that 21. Where are they going to get it?
Listen, hold on a second. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I know there's been this discussion about resources as it relates to HBCU athletics. But there is a way. It's called combining forces. It's called everyone coming together towards a common cause. Let's not forget the overall economic impact that Coach Prime has made on the city of Jacksonville as well as the state of Mississippi. It has been literally unprecedented. And think about what he has called for socially. There's so many different layers to Coach Prime and his term here with Jackson State, although it being in its third year. It's just been phenomenal. And whether he leaves or not, I think the Jackson State University faithful and HBCU fans across the board should be grateful for his opportunity, because he touched so many different lives, especially those young men in that locker room who need that type of mentoring, who needs that type of African-American male figure in their life, showing them, guiding them through life.
Simone, what if this is the end of the road for Coach Prime and Jackson State, what do you think his legacy at JSU over the technically 3 seasons? I keep forgetting about that spring season, so we'll be correct and call it 3 years. What do you think his legacy would be from your standpoint?
I feel like he shined a huge. There's so many people that I know that was not aware of Jackson, Mississippi, let alone Jackson State University before Deion Sanders got there. So Deion Sanders, even if he doesn't leave today, I saw someone saying that in a comment on social media, because I do read our comments on TikTok and YouTube. Even if he doesn't leave today, he's going to leave at some time. Coaches leave, unless you're like Coach K or something, you retire. But at some point you have to be prepared for him to leave. And he left Jackson State. He left the city of Jackson. He would be leaving HBCU football, HBCU culture as a whole way better than he found it. And it's just about continuing the momentum. Will you still tune into Jackson State football? That's a decision that you can make, whether Deion is coaching or not. Will you still bring your family of 10 to the game? Will you still go to those restaurants?
Family of 10.
You know, your cousins,
extended
That's
family.
how you make that $30 million, Tyler.
Okay.
You don't make $30 million by just bringing one person to the game. You know what I'm saying?
You got 6, 7, 8 kids. You might not be.
All I'm saying is Deion here or Deion not here, we all and everyone can still support HBCU football and HBCU as a whole. That does not have to change once Deion leaves.
So I think, let's reset the table here. You're watching HBCU Gameday. It's our post-game coverage of the SWAC Championship. Jackson State won 43-24. I'm Tolly Carr. This is Simone Stanley. This is Dwayne Walker. We're waiting for the post-game press conference to come up from the SWAC.
I pinned it on there so they know.
You pinned it? Okay. So whenever that comes up, what we're going to do is we're going to cut into that, and you'll get to hear from the coaches. But right now, we're just talking about what's going on post-game and our thoughts. Can Deion Sanders well, before I ask you that question, let me piggyback on what you said. There's 2 things that happened. Deion Sanders came to Jackson State. He brought his ability to amplify and to excite fan bases, to amplify your message. A lot of people started watching what he was doing. We can only talk about our analytics, right? So people were watching. It expanded our fan base. It expanded our ability to generate revenue. Deion Sanders did not give us money, all right? He did not create that revenue. You did, because you watched, and you clicked, and you read, and you shared. So you, sitting at home right now, you in the comments still have that power. You always had that power. I think the one thing in our community, we have the economic capability.
Yes.
We do not always have the economic organization.
Yes.
The spending capital, the spending power of Black America has been well documented.
Yes.
But we spend it on the wrong stuff sometimes. You know, that could be a little opinionated, but we don't always pull it together. All right? All right, here's what I just got a note in my ear. This is going to change our conversation.
Oh, Lord.
From what I understand, the SWAC press conference is underway. It is players only, what I'm being told. That might tell you a lot, but let's go to it now. We'll get a couple seconds to go to that. Let's hear what the players are saying. We'll come back with more reaction and analysis. You're watching HBCU Gameday. Let's go live now to Jackson, Mississippi SWAC press conference.
Actually, because we know we've been really good. It actually helped us out, gave us momentum. He gave us a chance. You know what I'm saying? We just had to come out there, do round part of the defense in order to keep the ball in his hands so he could do it.
And you weren't out there as much that he was giving you a blow. The offense was moving, doing their part. That was talk about the help that did.
Yeah, that gave us a break on the sideline. We was able to get our adjustments corrected. We weren't going out there as fast. We was able to come to the sideline, get together, regroup, rally, settle people down. So that played a major part in them staying out there on the field, giving us some time to get ourselves together.
Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. I guess blending your bubble.
Nickname.
When you came off the bench down 26-0, what was the mentality of the squad? What was the mentality of the team?
Don't look at the scoreboard and get in the box and keep your head down and play hard. Leave it all out on the field.
Did you, did Coach Dooley have to have a special talk with you guys at that point, being down like that?
Everybody knew what time it was. I mean, don't nobody want to be down like that. We got to get in the box.
Especially as a player, you shouldn't need a coach to fire us up. We playing. It's for us. So
this is your last college game. Would you talk about your career and you too, Corey?
Feel like I had an all right career. I mean, I wish we could have ended with a ring. I've been to 3 SWAC Championship and came up empty-handed all 3 times. That's really, I just wanted a ring.
I had a long college career, transferring to school. But now it would have been nice coming out with a ring. But I mean, my first year in the SWAC, it was great.
Corey, you played on a lot of different teams before Southern.
seemed like you really were involved emotionally with everything going on the street. Can you speak to that, like how you left the field today?
Yeah, I'm fan of Big 12, the Southern, but like I said, the Southern fan base, the crowd, the HBCU environment, it was nothing. It's like no other, really. So just leaving out there, that's the least I could do for the great experience they gave me.
Well, how have you been able to maintain that positivity through everything that you've been doing? Not just your career, but in particular this year.
Just putting God first, trusting His plan. You know, we all have bad days, stuff like that. If you look to Him, everything will be all right.
But have you started thinking about what's next for you?
Of course.
What you got in mind?
Train.
Thank you.
Any more questions for our student athletes? Congrats on a great season, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we will have Southern University head coach Eric Dooley.
University there. We're going to come back. I still kind of hear their audio there. I think they're going to get Eric Dooley up on the stage in just a second. So maybe we will hear from coaches. I think what Andrew with the SWAC said is players first. I think that might have been what he said. So we're going to hear from Eric Dooley in just a minute. We'll let him get settled. We got to have Deion Sanders tonight. There's no way we do not get Deion Sanders on that
The biggest
podium.
night of his life, like people watching. One of the biggest.
Yeah.
But all eyeballs are waiting on Deion right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how Andrew Roberts and the SWAC as a conference, how they're dealing with this whirlwind right now. I wanted to make a point about Coach Deion again. I can't overemphasize the job that he's done overall with this program as far as the mix as it relates to culturally, how they have like a diverse coaching staff and football staff. He always takes the time to acknowledge them. So it hasn't only been about Coach Prime. He has definitely attempted to spread the love, not only at Jackson State University, but all HBCUs, which is something I can definitely appreciate.
Yeah, so quick programming note here. We're being very organic. I do have a flashing low battery. The staff was asking me, is your mic on? So Scoville back there, we're very organic. Simone's leaving soon. I'm just going to take her microphone. I'll try
I have
to talk
something I wanted to say, though.
All right, go ahead.
So, and like I said, I read our comments on YouTube and TikTok. Can't say I read the comments on TikTok or Instagram, but, you know, most of our comments are coming on YouTube and TikTok. And one thing people have said so many times is that money is not the motive for Deion. Somebody like Deion Sanders, I can't speak for his pockets, of course, we all know that, but I don't think $2 million or $5 million, that's enough of a, it's going to take more margin of money, I feel like, to sway, for Deion to notice another meal is in his pocket, basically is what I'm saying. I think one of the biggest things maybe with Deion is Shedeur Sanders. Maybe he's leaving because of Shedeur. He's said time and time again his goal is, and Shedeur has said his goal is to get to the NFL. And we all know that that's an uphill battle as a HBCU quarterback getting to the NFL because of the uneven level of competition that you're going up against. So maybe it's not money. Maybe it's not the main thing is getting Shedeur time and film against Power 5 defenses, because he hears people saying Shedeur can't be a real Heisman candidate coming from an HBCU, and he's been made known and he's shown 1,000 times that his kids are pretty much number one.
I would respectfully disagree with that as it relates to Shedeur Sanders being a possible Heisman candidate. We can go back years ago to Steve Aaron McNair when he played at Alcorn State, and there was a lot of hype and well-deserved, as it related to him as a quarterback going into the National Football League. Whereas Shedeur Sanders, we're here during the age of social media. There's so much more content put out on him. There are campaigns out there that are promoting Shedeur Sanders, and he has the numbers to back it up. He's thrown just 6 interceptions this year to go along with what he threw 4 today, 35 touchdown passes, I want to say, without looking at my notes. So yes, in my opinion, he should be considered as a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. But as we have seen from those decision makers in the NFL, those college analysts that actually make those decisions, those HBCU players are not getting that fair chance. Now, I can't say why they are or why they're not, but the fact is that they're not. And Deion knows that. So I feel like maybe Deion could be trying to put Shedeur in a situation too. Shedeur told you he wants to go first round. That's going to be a tall task coming out of an HBCU going first round.
Especially at quarterback.
Especially at quarterback. So, and Deion has said several times his main focus is Shedeur and his sons going to the league. And Colorado gives them a chance to go up against Power 5 competition and show what they can do on that level.
Let me ask you this, Simone. If Deion Sanders is the Colorado coach next, and we start to see some movement from Jackson State, maybe there's some players that, aren't going to play in the game. I don't know. I'm not hoping it, wishing it.
You talking Celebration Bowl?
Yeah, Celebration Bowl.
Okay.
What did I say?
You said the game.
Celebration Bowl. Does the Celebration Bowl still have the same shine right now?
Now, Tolly, why are you asking questions that you know the answer to?
That's how I make you look good. It's called a softball.
Okay, well, I'm knocking it out of the park. Heck no. You know that. You know that. You know it doesn't.
Well, obviously there's the prime factor. And, of course, I would like, if he were to leave, Coach Prime talking about finish, I would love for him to have the opportunity to actually finish, and that would include coaching Jackson State University at the Celebration Bowl should he decide to leave. But again, I'll believe it when I see it officially.
All right, so we're monitoring the SWAC Zoom. I think Eric Dooley might be joining us soon here on the broadcast. We'll just keep monitoring that, shuffling people in and out, and that can be a hectic thing. What type of impact, Dwayne, can Coach Sanders have as an African-American head coach at an FBS school, Pac-12, Colorado? If that turns out to be the case.
If that were the case, you got to understand, when you go to different regions of the country and different parts of the country, they themselves have a different type of culture. What you experience in the South, the hospitality of the South, might not be the same out in Colorado, out in Boulder. You don't know until you get into that situation. Will Prime be able to be authentically Coach Prime because you have politics that are involved, you have egos that are involved, you have sponsors that are involved, you have big-time contributing boosters who are involved. So there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that we on the outside don't have privy to understand that until he's actually in that situation.
What about Jackson State? If they're going to have a new coach next year, we don't know for sure, how should they move forward? How should they proceed?
Internally.
Start there.
Because if what I remember is correct, and I do not have the best memory, when we announced the news on our platforms that Deion was becoming the head coach, I do believe that there was somebody in place that fans were wanting to be promoted to that head coaching position. There was somebody internally that fans were wanting.
Could be Coach Flea, could be T.C. Taylor, could be either of those. Coach Flea filled in for him last year when he was out.
Right. So I would look internally too. Don't know if defensive coordinator Dennis Thurman or their offensive coordinator Brett Bartolone, whether or not they would be accompanying Coach Deion to Colorado if he were to leave. So that's still all speculation right now. And of course, I kind of look at last year when Coach Prime had to leave with his, due to his health conditions. I kind of feel as though that was a trial run, if you know what I'm saying, right? Having Coach Flea fill in, and he obviously did an admirable job. The players respected him. And as it turned out, it didn't stop anything. They went on to win the SWAC Championship, went on to play in the Celebration Bowl. Now, of course, it didn't end how they wanted it to end with a loss to South Carolina State. But the fact still remains, there are goals in place, goals that Deion Sanders is trying to accomplish, and he's been outwardly intentional on voicing his expectations. And for me, Tolly, there's nothing more impactful than having a vision, putting the vision out in the air for everyone to grasp, and then going out and making it happen by committing to excellence, no matter what the obstacle is. He talked about dominance and dominating. Are you going to do that all the time? Perhaps not, but the goal never changes.
The question I have is, we know Shador, wherever Deion goes, Shador is going to be right beside him on the plane or, you know, on the bus back to the vet if Deion shocks the world and stays at Jackson State University. But one thing I saw trending on Twitter the other day was Florida State fans asking Travis Hunter to come back to Florida State. I think that's a big question mark. Will Travis Hunter go follow Deion to Colorado? If you're your son, you got to go with your daddy. But if you're Travis Hunter, you don't necessarily have to go to Colorado with Deion. I'm sure any program would take Travis Hunter right now. So that's something interesting to watch if he follows Deion or goes his own way.
Okay, Simone, we'll let you have that final word. I know you have to go with your busy life. Thank you for stopping by, Simone. Great job. We got to go back to Jackson. We have someone else at the podium talking post-game press conference, SWAC Championship.
Season long, they did some things that caused some problem, but again, when you turn the football over, you can't turn the football over on a good football team and think that you have a chance, but they still fought to the end, and I commend my players.
Did Deshaun get shook up after that interception and the fumble?
No, I didn't think he got shook up. My thing was right here, this is the mindset, this game right here is either now or never. You know, you don't have another opportunity to come back and say, well, we'll fix it next week. You got to fix it right now. And so we thought that was the move at that time, and it paid off in some ways, and some ways it didn't. So we lost some things when we decided to pull him, but at the end of the day, those guys went out there and laid everything on the line, and Jackson State came out victorious today.
Luke?
Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. Coach, what about talk about the play when you did put Glendon in McDaniel and how he played?
I thought he did some great things. You know, we always said all along that we feel that we had quarterbacks in our room that can get the job for it. Of course, you only play one. I'm not a guy that's going to rotate quarterbacks in and out. So at that time, we decided to go with Deshaun. He's the one got us this far. So we was going to give him a shot to see if he can lead us in. Of course, I thought McDaniels came off the bench, and he came ready to play.
Dr. Bill?
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You start out slow and you get behind early. You know, you have spending many games and things of that nature. Is there anything that you say to your team, or is that based on the weeks of practice that they already know that they're going to fight all the way through and see what happens?
Yeah, they're going to fight. You know, my mindset is when you go back, my mindset is when you go back and you look at it, and I just have that mindset. If they'd have put up 50 points in the first half, if they put up 50 points, then we got to come out and put up 51 in the second half. If they can do it, I feel that we can.
Coach, Reggie Flood, Jaguar Journal, decided to go with Bubba in this game. First you went with Flood and then Bubba. What made you make that decision at that point?
Well, I from then on, once I saw where things was going, sometimes you have to go with experience. And I went with the experience, and I thought, you know, he'd been there, done that before, and understood what it took. And he always stays ready.
Man, you always talked about having a guy comes out of the room opposed to a game manager. Did Bubba kind of fit that bill today, or was that something that you had seen before?
Well, no, I've seen that before. I seen it in practice, but I thought he did a great job of coming in doing what we asked him to do. Of course, that was play well and try to win the game, not to come in and manage it.
Wilton?
Coach, you finished your first year here as head coach. You didn't get the win like you wanted to, but what positive do you take away from this?
Well, you know, we got a lot to grow. You know, we got a lot of guys coming back, you know, so now that's going to help with the experience coming back and guys being another year up under the system. But, you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been in a place. I feel when you come there to win. You know, right now, these days, you don't have 3 years. You don't have 4 years. You got to win now.
Back row.
Absolutely not. I felt that we went with the choice that we wanted to go with. It played out the way we wanted to. You got to understand your room. You got to understand your room. And I thought I understood our room. You know, sometimes you can start out with a guy. If it don't go well, how can you bring that other guy in? So I understood our room, and I went with that right there. I had a short leash, I would say, and it didn't work out for us to win college, but he had some success.
Any more questions for Coach Dooley?
Can you talk about your defense? they were behind the 8 ball early on. I thought they came around once the offense did too.
Yeah, you can't turn the football over to a good offensive team that has a solid defense. And I thought that's what we did. We put them in some bad situations offensively by turning the ball over, and they capitalized off it. When you get a chance to get the ball, and that's what we like to do, get our defense to turn the ball over, and we capitalize. But we got in the hole, and we felt that we still had a chance. That's why we came out in the second half, and we came out, things was working for us, but didn't get those stops that we need, that we normally would get. But again, not one series, not one play, not one unit. We got to play as one to win a game when you're playing against a good football team.
Ernest,
breaking TNG Sports. Coach, what would be one of the big focuses in the offseason for you?
To me, just to get more depth and get better. There's no question about it. We're going to get some guys in here that I feel, but I'm a guy. We're going to lose a good deal of offensive linemen. So of course, I believe in building inside out. So I'm going to always get offensive linemen, always get defensive linemen.
front row.
Coach, what do you say to your team at halftime?
At halftime?
Yes, sir. That
they put up 30-something points. Now we got to come back and put up another 33 points, and I feel we'll be right in it. They took the mindset and they came out with that mindset. Unfortunately, we came up short.
Back row.
Hey, Coach, you set up for the Bayou Classic. You wait until after the season to grade your first season as head coach of the Jaguars. Now, here we are. How would you grade so far?
I hate to be so harsh, but it's a failing to me because we didn't win the championship. I only set out for one goal, to win it all. I don't believe in let's have a winning season. Let's win this game. I believe in winning every game that we have scheduled. I believe in winning this game right here that we just lost. So in my mind, as a team, they did well. As a coach, I didn't do everything I needed to do to make sure that we were successful to win the game, to win the championship.
Luke? Couple of questions, Coach. Any consolation in the fact that you outscored them 24-17 if you throw out the first quarter?
I don't believe in victories like that. In the game, the big stat was they won the championship.
Coach, there are reports all over that this is Deion's last game, that he's headed to Colorado. If he does, talk about his impact on the SWAC, what he's meant.
I try not to, and I think that's what helps me out a lot. I don't get into personal matters, things that take place. I do have good relationships with just about every coach that's in this conference. And as you see, when the game was over with, I was able to shake and hug Deion and tell him he have a good football team. We say some words encouraging to one another. So I don't get into that. It's just decision. He's a fate-driven guy as well. So if his steps is ordered to do those type things, I'm pretty sure his family would make that decision. But for us, the impact is obviously he made an impact, a huge impact on Jackson State University because I've been around this conference for a long time. And for Jackson to win it back-to-back, it's been a long time. I know they're very competitive and a good university, but he brought them back to what they were accustomed to. So I love competition. So my thing would be my plea to Deion to stay because I love competition.
Any final questions for Coach Dooley?
Congrats on a great season. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate you guys.
What's that?
Andrew, can I get one in?
Yourself or with them? You want about yourself?
Hey, James, this is a listen only. This is a listen only. This is not.
It's very organic here. We're kind of watching the Zoom. We're kind of changing batteries and microphones. We're doing a lot. Coach Dooley said he hopes Deion Sanders would stay. He likes the competition.
Absolutely. Listen, Coach Prime Sanders, he's a conduit of change, right? He brings excitement. He brings interest to the conference. That's not to say that there's not, that the conference isn't heading in the right direction, because it is. The Commissioner McClellan has done a fantastic job in positioning this conference as one of the premier conferences in the NCAA, so I commend him on that. But let's not front and let's just have an honest conversation. What Coach Prime brings to the table is enormous. His ability to communicate, his ability to just transform everyone into this collective where they follow JSU as well as the SWAC conference, I think it's phenomenal. And I would hate to lose Coach Prime to the Pac-12 when he can make more of an impact in the SWAC.
if there's a drop off, right, with Jackson State, if Coach Prime isn't there, and maybe they come back to the pack a little bit. Obviously, I think of FAMU as being a team that maybe could jump over, hurdle the Tigers if things play out that way. Who are some other teams you'd be looking out for?
Well, we can start with Coach Willie Simmons in the Florida A&M program, and lets me just go on record and say they got hosed as it relates to the NCAA playoffs. Definitely should have been in the playoffs. I don't know what happened there, but after starting out 0-2 and running off 9 straight to close the season, they were simply robbed. But I mean, Florida A&M, they have a historic program. They're always in the game as far as I'm concerned. But what other teams could you look at? You could look at even Grambling State. I know people are going to say, oh, Grambling State. But look how Coach Jackson ended the year as compared to how he began the year. The team was very competitive on the field. So I think it's really a toss-up. Look at what Eddie Robinson Jr. is doing at Alabama State. So it's really up in the air. But I like that. Competition is what it's all about. And I'm going to stress again, even if Coach Prime left, it's all about pursuing excellence in what you do. Academically, out on the field, administratively. And there's so much more that still needs to be done. But those issues have to be addressed and have to be addressed immediately. We're talking about facilities, housing, food, practice facilities. So there's a lot really that needs to be done. But again, I'm going to echo again, we as a people must strive for excellence.
All right, there's another team out there whose season still is not over. North Carolina Central University will be in the Celebration Bowl. What sort of chances do you give them against Jackson State?
Listen, North Carolina Central, they snuck up on some folks, right? Out of the MEAC, really handling Norfolk State 48-14 in the MEAC final. So I give them all the credit in the world, North Carolina Central. No one expected them to be there, in my personal opinion. Everyone was still sort of thriving in the vapors of last year's upset win by South Carolina State over Jackson State. So I just love the spirit of competition throughout all the black conferences, SWAC, even the SIAC. Think about how attendance has been impacted. And I'll talk about the Coach Prime factor as far as generating interest towards black college football and black college athletics. It's undeniable. Attendance is up, revenues is up. It's phenomenal.
All right. We might have some action here. I'm kind of monitoring what we're talking about, kind of monitoring what's going on with the live in Jackson. Of course, we want to hear Coach Prime. Looks like they're doing some mic checks there. We might have some Jackson State players. That's probably who's going to come up next. Do you think there's still going to be an attraction? You talked about Hugh Jackson. We got Eddie George at Tennessee State. Do you still think there's going to be a pull for our schools to go and look for these players with NFL connections that maybe can bring in, some of that excitement, some of that ability to amplify the messaging with our schools and make some of those connections with former former NFL players?
Sure, absolutely. You can see what's going on with Tennessee State and bringing in Eddie George a few years back. You can see what's going on with Bubba McDowell at Prairie View and the job that he's doing. So these players with former NFL players coming to HBCUs to cut their chops in the coaching ranks, I think that's a good thing because you want to have people involved with your program that can help get guys to that next level. And again, everyone's not going to make it, obviously, right? But the impact is with those 85 to 100 souls that you're responsible for in developing them into men because there's life after football. And we want to train these young men and these young women to be good citizens out here, in public. That's what we want ultimately.
We talked about this going into the break. Tolly Carr along with Dwayne Walker. We're waiting to hear from Jackson State players and coaches after the 43-24 win in the SWAC Championship game over Southern University. We talked about the economic power of the black community, and maybe there's some missing steps in the process about our ability to organize economically. But everything we need, we have right now to be able to propel our facilities, our schools, bolster the resources. It's really about being intentional with doing that.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of times when you talk about economics and making moves and doing campaigns, there's a lot of bureaucratic tape that goes into that.
True.
You have to check down with this person and that person. Well, the time to strike is now. When Jackson State hired Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, to come to Jackson State University, there should have been a promotional campaign, like a 3-year promotional campaign. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. It's to me, it's obvious.
We talked about this. Expound on it. You almost have to, from the moment of a hire, when you have something that big, that lightning in a bottle moment, or something that you think is really, really going to work, you have something special, you almost have to reverse engineer it and start planning with the end in mind and how you control that.
Sure.
As opposed to just enjoying the ride.
Sure. There's so many things you can do out in the community with your local restaurants, your local bars, your local schools. But not only local, you can do it internationally and nationally. We've seen a couple of the kids on Coach Prime's team, Jackson State, involved with NIL deals. I know Shedeur Sanders has a deal, and a couple of the other players.
Shedeur might be the highest paid employee. He's not an employee. He might make more money than every employee at Jackson State.
Yeah, he signed on with Tom Brady. He signed on with Mercedes. That's
Gatorade.
A big one. Gatorade, and this last one with the shoe company. There you go.
Limited edition
jersey number 2. Now
might be real limited.
But now you just took my next.
Quip.
Yes, my next quip. Right. But here's the thing. The CEO of Under Armour recently spoke at Jackson State to the players, right? And he talked about how they all have a network and how they should network with each other. And then soon after, we hear about the Shedeur Sanders deal, and they have it with the Jackson State University jersey. Now, this is fresh. This is less than a week. Now, we've seen the warning signs, and Coach Sanders it's like Coach Sanders gives you the answers to the test as he goes along. He talks to the players about the importance of being responsible. He talks to them about showing on time, about doing the right thing, about working hard, because life is a constant audition, right? So let's say if he were to go to Colorado, he's going to look at those players who went out and executed his plan. Those are the type of players he's going to want involved with his program. But I think he's been very authentic and very transparent in his wants, his desires, and his expectations.
All right, we have some movement starting to happen there in Jackson as we continue to monitor. Kind of fell off my screen, so the guys in the control room, shout out Scoville, Jacob. You guys let me know. It looks like we had some players that were headed towards the podium. It was okay. All right. Okay. All right. So okay. I'm going to have to give some commands here over the air.
No problem.
Here's what happened. The SWAC ended the Zoom call. I think it might have been a misclick. But guys, if you look up my email back there on the computer, I think I left it open. Just go to Andrew, email from Andrew Roberts at 6:20. I think the Zoom link will be in that email, and you can click on that, and maybe they'll restart the Zoom. So looks like they inadvertently ended the Zoom right when Jackson State players were about to walk up, or maybe somebody pulled the plug, or
you never know.
Maybe there was a buffalo in the room. The buffalo was in the corner, chewed up the internet cord. We'll find out.
Can I ask you a question, Tolly?
Yes, I always ask the question.
Yeah, I know.
I avoid the smoke. I don't make any proclamations.
I know.
I don't say anything. I just ask questions.
Can I please flip the script one time? Can I flip the script one time?
Maybe. Try it.
What is Tolly's feelings on the situation as it relates to Jackson State and Coach Prime? Do you feel as though he will take the Colorado job or any other job that's offered to him?
Well, I can only go off the data that I have. And there are reputable reporters reporting that he's going to take the job at Colorado. So I'm not a fake news person. I don't go down those lines. I don't get my emotions involved. So based on the data that I have seen, it looks like he's going to take the job. There's something, and we may get to talk about this a little later as we're kind of judging. We don't want to step on the live Zoom from Jackson, but I do want to talk about the pain points that people are feeling, because I do think two things can be true at the same time. I feel like you can be happy for Coach Sanders if we're still in the if stage, if he is leaving to go to Colorado. And I still think you can be upset. You can be happy for someone, and you can be upset and disappointed and have those feelings for yourself. I don't think it has to be an either or thing. And I hate when people are like, you all in your feelings, you hurt. Well, it's a natural emotion.
Natural emotion, yes.
It's a natural emotion, but you can also be happy for that person.
Yeah.
I think the pain point for me when I think about it is the frustration that a PWI, the system, the man, Mr. Charlie, whatever term you want to use, when they want something, even if it's yours, they can buy it. And I think that's the thing that punches you right in the gut. Because, again, if Deion Sanders is leaving, there was that feeling, and it felt authentic. And I'm not going to say it was not authentic. I'm not going to say it was not real. It felt like he was one of us. He had joined us, the HBCU community. And there was a kinsmanship. Everything felt great. And we were on what appears to be, there's two sides to the transaction. The one where you get paid and the one where you lose the thing you didn't want to lose.
Now, you talked about, and I agree with you, you talked about Coach Prime being Coach Prime and people being upset in the pain element, right? Even though Coach Prime is Coach Prime, he is a man. He is a father. And even though he's in the glitz and the lights, he wants to feel appreciated also. Sometimes people can take your, I'm not going to say your kindness, but your aura, if you will. He still has emotions too, right? So maybe he should be asking, do thee love me?
I like what you did there.
Do thee love me? And so show that. I'm surprised that we have not heard about an extension from Jackson State University. At least I haven't heard about an extension or any monetary talks. So to me, it would just be mind-blowing if they just let Coach Prime get away without a fight.
Yeah, we had Neely from the pregame show. Have you seen Neely's stuff?
Oh, I'm a big fan of Neely's. Absolutely.
Neely has it going on, man.
Hey, one of the best in the business. One of the best in the business,
that's my brother. Him and his beard. I'm related to both of them. He shared that from his knowledge that he did not feel that the university was doing enough from the top, starting at the top, to make an offer, to make overtures. And I have sourced this. And I will go so far as to say the information that I have gathered is right now, if Deion Sanders is leaving, there are not tears coming from the top at Jackson State University.
Well, when you talk about the top, you're talking administratively, Thomas Hudson, if we want to name names. To me, again, I cannot fathom how you could let Coach Prime, and taking into consideration the economic impact that he makes, the cultural divot he makes, yes, the social media inroads. If you follow social media right now, you see other programs, even Power 5 programs, trying to emulate what they have going on at Jackson State with letting you inside the room, letting you inside the locker room. Think of some of the innovative things he's done.
That level of access is unprecedented.
But I love it. That's what it's all about, because it gives you a seat at the table inside what they're doing. And he's backing up what he's saying. We want to dominate. We want to strive for excellence. Do you think he's surprised that they've gone 12-0? No, he's not. He's put it out in the atmosphere, and he's taken the steps to make it happen collectively as a group. Coach Prime wasn't trying to do it all himself. Look at me, look at me, look at me. He spreads the wealth. Like a good point guard, he spreads the wealth. And that is undeniable, the impact that he's had, not only on SWAC, not only on HBCU football, but on sports as a whole. That's a fact.
Okay, so here's where we are status-wise. The SWAC had a Zoom. That Zoom call was going to have Southern players, which we heard from. It was going to have the Southern head coach, Eric Dooley, which we heard from. It appeared Jackson State players were headed to the desk to talk, and then the Zoom went kaput.
Right.
I am at my phone right now, and I'm trying to log back on. The message I'm getting, waiting for the host to start this meeting. So the most honest and up-to-date information I can give you right now about going live to Jackson, I am not sure what's going on with the status of their Zoom. It abruptly ended. I saw James Hill face pop up there for a second. He was starting to ask a question, and it just went away. Do you guys in the back, you can talk to me in my ear. Do you guys have anything different other than waiting for the host to start this meeting? Same thing. Okay, so, man, you want to talk about adding drama and intrigue?
Yes, definitely. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised.
Right when we were going to hear from somebody from Jackson State, it went away. I'm going to check our. This is so organic and it's fun. I'm just going to check the chat and see if anybody has any updated information. They might have something there, but have you seen the facilities at Colorado?
Have I seen it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you see that? There's a YouTube video out there.
Yes, very, very, very dynamic. And that's a part of the sales packaging, right? That's what you want. That's what kids want to see when they come on their visits. So let's commemorate and acknowledge what Coach Deion has done at Jackson State, getting new locker rooms. They're talking about, the city is committed to building them a new stadium, which I think is a fantastic thing. And again, one of the things that I think gets overlooked in this whole process is Deion Sanders, the father. We talk about Shedeur all the time, but let's not forget about his other kids, 3 of which who altogether go to Jackson State. Shalomi's on the basketball team, as well as Shiloh. And of course, we see Deion Jr. there, as I guess we would consider him the team's main photog as it relates to capturing. And
good point. Good point. We have some B-roll. We'll continue to talk. Let's roll some of this B-roll because we want to see these beautiful images we've captured of Jackson State through the year. We'll keep talking here. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. Go ahead.
No, I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, no. I just wanted to, again, salute the man. Like, salute the man as a father. But not only a father to his own kids, but a father to those other young men who are out there on the football field with him on a day-in, day-out basis.
Yeah, I mean, the pleasure he has had to have of coaching his son, Shedeur, coaching his son, Shiloh, having Deion Jr. right there as a part of the team. His little girl is on the basketball team at Jackson State University.
Yes.
I mean, it is a Disney-like movie.
Yes.
But this isn't maybe, possibly, if not quite the Disney ending.
Well, no, but again, you need to be grateful. You need to be reflective.
And I agree. And I'm not suggesting that. I just want to clarify that.
Right. Sure. You want to be reflective, grateful, and I love this term, moving forward, be more proactive as it relates to your brand, right? Jackson State University and all HBCUs, you have the power to change, to make positive changes. It's all about telling your narrative, telling your story, and projecting that story out into the world. So that's, I think that's very, very important to do.
Late breaking information. Our Wally Pitt just texted me and said JSU did not come to the presser. Mm-hmm. I responded, they ain't talking then, ? I'm gonna see what he says. But information we have from people on the ground, Jackson State did not come to the presser. That's what our Wally Pitts has just texted me.
Well, because you don't want to put the players in a situation it's
going to be 8,000 questions about Colorado.
Absolutely, and the players are going to be asked those questions. Yeah, okay, they might start out asking about the SWAC Championship game and what happened, what you see, but they're going to dive right in.
Not even happen.
Yeah. So again, that's a move, in my opinion, that protects his players, whether he plans on leaving or not leaving. You're protecting the players.
Seals it, right? If you don't come to the post-game presser of the SWAC Championship, that.
Hey, listen, man. I'll believe it, Tolly, when I see it.
I mean, if he was staying, he would come to the presser and say, "Hey, guys, I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. It's all good."
Well, it is prime time. Now he knows how to market. He knows how to build the suspense.
But he's not afraid of any question. So
right.
This would be a. I talked to my team before they went out.
Yes.
To Jackson, and we ran through scenarios.
Yes.
One of the scenarios was they don't show up at the press conference, and if that's the scenario, to me that's like the final nail
in the coffin.
That it's a done deal.
And that's called being proactive, Tolly, that you planned out the scenarios, the possible scenarios that could take place. But again, I've learned to just err on the side of caution as it relates to other people and their decisions and what they decide to do. But what
I am not mad.
Oh,
I'm not mad.
Right.
I am nostalgic. I will miss Deion Sanders up close, but get this, boys and girls, HBCU Gameday will still cover Deion Sanders if as it all appears, if he is moving on to Colorado. He is now the former Jackson State coach who is still hyper relevant in the world of college football.
Yes.
If any other SWAC coach were to leave and go land in the ACC at any FBS school, we would continue to cover them.
No question about it. And let's make no mistake about it. The SWAC is in very, very good hands as it stands right now, with or without Deion Sanders. To me, that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And it begins at the top, and you look at what the commissioner has done as it relates to projecting out.
Thumbs, I would give
Yes.
Dr. McClellan 10 thumbs.
Dr. McClellan has talked about the SWAC being one of the premier conferences in football, period, right? In sports, period. That's what it's about. That's what leadership is about. Putting out your vision and have everybody fall in line to help make that vision come true. And let's not forget, you talk about influence. You do realize that he was selected to be, not this year, but next year, the primary on the NCAA men's basketball committee, the NCAA. That is huge. First in history. So we're making history as we go along, whether people see it, whether or not they want to acknowledge it, but the reality is that's what's happening.
All right, so Stephen J. Gaither of HBCU Gameday has tweeted that we've been told Jackson State has gone to campus for a team meeting and Deion Sanders will not be coming to the post-game presser. So there is a team meeting going on campus in lieu of post-game comments. You kind of know what they're talking about in that team meeting, right?
Well,
texting and reporting here.
Yeah, no problem. And again, we can speculate, but until the decision has been made and you hear from the principal in this, which is Deion Sanders, we're not going to know what happens. But as we move forward, what have you taken from the Deion Sanders experience in totality?
It was a hell of a ride. I mean, Deion Sanders took, I like to use this word, his ability to amplify the messaging, his ability to amplify the product, took the product to levels that we have not seen. Not only have we not seen, that we didn't really, willing to put all our chips in that we would get to. I'm not saying HBCU Gameday, I'm not saying you, I'm not saying anyone was satisfied with, not being on 60 Minutes and on the big networks more. We wanted that, but the path to get there was like, I don't know how we get there. We hope we get there. Let's try some things to get there. When Deion Sanders showed up on the scene, that path became a whole lot easier.
Yes.
Now, is it because he is a freaking unicorn, one of one, the one of the best, if not the best football player ever? Sure, we're not dummies, but how could you not enjoy that ride?
You have to enjoy the ride. And again, I talked about his transparency in coming in. I don't think perhaps some of our younger viewers know the impact that Deion Sanders had. The only professional athlete to play in both a World Series and a Super Bowl. I'm old enough to remember being in some of those locker rooms. For example, in Miami when he played with the San Francisco 49ers.
You've reported it with professional teams, and you've been around.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Well, yeah. Keep that down. But being in a locker room in Miami when he played with the San Francisco 49ers, I believe they were playing the San Diego Chargers that particular year, and seeing the likes of Jesse Jackson in the locker room and other dignitaries trying to get at Deion Sanders then. So he was a transformative figure back then as a player. And he's just kept it going through his broadcast career on television, on various networks, and now in the coaching realm. Now, I feel as though Deion was questioned as it relates to his ability to coach or to lead, but that's undeniable. He's done it at the youth level, right? He's done it at the high school level. He's done it now at the college ranks level. So to me, he just proves himself every single time.
Okay, I'm texting with Stephen J. Gaither. Again, let me do some live communication with our control room. Guys, we got Stephen J. Gaither in Jackson. Let's start our Zoom in the back, okay? Just fire up our Zoom. Stephen, I think, is in our personal waiting room. See if you can get him fixed up, and we'll see if we can get a live report for the folks from Jackson and get a full detail of exactly what happened and maybe what's the vibe going on right there. Here's a question that I've had that we're at some point we're going to have to get answers. If this team meeting going on in Jackson right now, Deion Sanders is telling his team he's going to Colorado, does he coach in the Celebration Bowl? Are there key players from Jackson State that could potentially follow him to Colorado, play in the Celebration Bowl? Like, those are questions that pop in my mind.
All right, let's answer the first question. If you have a new boss, and that would be Colorado, I'm sure they'd want to try to dictate the terms of him leaving. However, if I'm Deion Sanders and I talk about finishing, I absolutely positively want to coach this team and see it through to win that championship and hold that trophy. And I would assume that is a negotiating chip he would have negotiated in advance. Follow me? Again, I hear what you're saying as far as like just sorry to see him go because of the impact that he's made. Me too, because I think that he would have far more value remaining at Jackson State University for a few more years to see how much more influence and impact that he can have on the league, because he affects a lot of lives. And I would have loved to have seen them run that out, because I don't think it's a money thing. I know we talk about, okay, Colorado may be offering him $5 million a year, but I'm sure that the Jackson State brass and the conference, or I don't know how they do it politically or whatever, but I'm sure there's a way they could ante up money to pay Deion Sanders what he would need to stay. I would present the man with an open check, to be honest with you. I mean, real talk. That's what I would do.
I'll take
it. No, seriously, that's what I would do. I would say, hey, Deion, what would it take for us to keep you here? But I think he's been very open in communicating some of the things that he's needed along the way and what he'd like to see happen.
There's precedence of people taking a job and untaking the job at the highest level.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to sound Looney Tunes here, but just putting all the data out there. We have seen that. McDaniels, right? Josh McDaniels?
Oh, several times. He's Denver and he's back. You know, Matt Patricia did the same thing. They go and they come back. And so, you kind of see it all over in sports. But what I like also about Coach Prime, he looks out for his assistant coaches as well, right? Making sure those guys are taken care of. And I love that they're culturally diverse. You look at the training staff, you look at the assistant coaches, you look at all of this influence and experience that they bring to the table to sow into these young men, and it makes a difference. It's clear that it makes a difference. So I applaud his efforts. But I would tell any parent out there or any athlete, it's not necessarily about going to Jackson State University, because they only have a certain amount of players will have on the team, a certain amount of starters will have on the team, so it might not be the right fit for everyone. So parents and student athletes aspire for excellence in the classroom first, and that way it gives you more of a choice of where you can go, and try to find the right fit. So for example, if there were no athletics, if you had a career-ending injury, would you still want to go to school at that particular institution that you choose? So I think that's possible. And Coach Deion has showed you that you can go to an HBCU that might not be a Power 5 and still have games on TV. You can still have NIL deals. You can still have a very positive experience. And I'm speaking as a parent that has a college athlete who goes to Division III school that has NIL deals. So I know that it's possible. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm telling you from experience, it is definitely positive. You can go to school on scholarship, and have a well-rounded collegiate experience.
All right, I do believe we have Stephen J. Gaither, the HBCU Gameday founder, live on the Zoom from Jackson, Mississippi. Let's see if we have a great connection. If Steve can hear me, let's see if we're all connected. Can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sally. What's going on?
What's up, brother? Let me check you out. Man, how can I get an HBCU Gameday hat, sweatshirt, like
swag?
I mean, I don't have those things.
I've been told they'll be on the website shortly, maybe by the time the Celebration Bowl. So you have to go to hbcugameday.com every day and look for it in every web article.
Okay, stop looking at yourself. Look at the camera lens. I know you want to check yourself out, man.
You're right.
No. Look, you got to look at the people right there. There you go. You got new glasses, man. Look at you. All right, seriously, I see you sitting in that prime seat. Think those seats are going to be there next year, Steve? Those red recliners?
Well, I don't know what they'll be named if they are here. It's been an interesting couple of hours here in Jackson. SWAC press conference was just put on hold. Well, actually, the second half was canceled. The Jackson State half was canceled. We were informed that Coach Prime would not be in the press conference. He and the team were going to have a team meeting on the campus of Jackson State University, and so there was no chance to ask Coach Prime about the future of what he's got going on.
All right, Steve, they got the cursor all over the face. Guys, stop putting the cursor on Steve's face. Get the cursor off the screen. Just move it to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left. All right, let's get back to Steve here. Steve, do you have any sense at all that Deion Sanders is not headed to Colorado?
I mean, I haven't seen any flight reservations. But besides that, it's, just watching this, having, covered Jackson State here since Coach Prime has been here. They won the game. So there's excitement amongst the players in the game. But, all signs are pointing to him making his exit somewhere. Again, Coach Prime is, never misses a chance to schedule with the media. And obviously in these situations, a lot of times, if a coach is to make a move, a lot of times they want to be the one to tell their student athletes ahead of time. And obviously, with all the reporting that's going on and the bright lights that have been here in Jackson, everyone has seen the reports from various places that he is expected to be gone, likely to Colorado. And so I think for him not to come to the press conference was pretty telling. And so everyone in the room kind of, if there was any resignation that he wasn't going to be leaving, or if there was any hope or glimmer of hope that he was not going to be leaving from some folks in the room, a lot of that went out of the room when our friend Charles Bishop informed the SWAC officials that Coach Prime would not be coming into the press conference and they were going to be having a on-campus team meeting.
Oh, wow. They sent Charles Bishop in there. Chuck. Look at that guy, Chuck, delivering the news. Any anticipation of what's going to happen tomorrow? Have you heard anything about any press media availability tomorrow? Any announcement? Have you heard any news like that, Steve?
I haven't heard any of that so far. And again, the medium room was really packed to the head, waiting for Coach Prime to come in. And Charles delivered the news to the SWAC officials, and you could look on their face and tell it was not something they were expecting to hear. And then once the announcement was made, everybody kind of scurried to kind of, get their bearings and kind of see what's coming next. But haven't heard anything yet, but everything is really fast moving and fast developing. But it seems the wheels are in motion for something. Coach Prime is not going to stay quiet for long. And obviously with the spotlight on him, everybody is waiting with bated breath to see what he's going to do next. And so, we go from the adulation of, just a couple of minutes ago saying that, the team has unfinished business and they got one more to go to, not really knowing, what's going to happen going forward to Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl. So a lot of questions still to be answered here in Jackson.
What are your thoughts and feelings, Steve? If people haven't figured it out, Deion Sanders has been a huge part of our business the last couple of years.
Right.
We've talked all along, probably since the very beginning, how long is he going to stay? Pontificating, will it be 3 years, 4 years, 2 years? It's been an ongoing conversation from the very beginning. This has been a lot of fast-moving parts this week as you kind of sit on what seems to be the precipice of him actually leaving. What are your thoughts as the founder here at HBCU Gameday?
It's been a hell of a ride, an amazing ride. Deion Sanders coming, back in 2020, nobody really saw that coming until it happened. And it was kind of there, and then nobody had ever seen him as a head football coach at the college level, so nobody knew what was going to happen. I think about being back in this stadium in February 2021 for his first game. A lot of excitement there around that, and it just built. And I remember coming here last year. Tyler, you were here for the SWAC Championship game, and just that was kind of like the climax of it. And then also, back here a couple weeks ago for the Southern game when they played with College Gameday in the background. We experienced some things that, we didn't never really know if it was going to happen. I mean, College Gameday coming and just so many things, so many, even from that first press conference till this lack of a press conference here. We never knew what to expect. We could never really pin him down. Folks would debate whether or not this was good for HBCUs, whether it was good for the SWAC. It did bring eyeballs to people who were never here. And so, as people who have been here before, Coach Prime was here. I think it was a great ride. We knew it wasn't going to last forever. And so now, everybody has to, continue to keep things moving. HBCUs still, even past him, have so much momentum in so many sports, upsets in the SWAC, recruiting battles and things like that. So, life will go on, but for sure, this is a ride that we're going to look back on, I think, quite a bit moving forward.
All right, Steve, I'm listening to you. I'm trying to track information online. You and I have a real-life HBCU Game Day planning session here. I know you were planning on coming back tomorrow, or are you trying to dig up any information before you get out of there? I would imagine, Steve, if there's going to be an announcement about Colorado, it would have to happen in Colorado, right? Like, it probably wouldn't happen in Jackson, right?
Yeah, I think maybe we need to go to the airport. Maybe Medgar Evers Airport has been a busy place the last 2 years because of Deion Sanders. So, I know when they said that they were going to have a team meeting on campus, I know our guy Luke Williams said that we should go to campus, and that made sense. But maybe we need to be parked outside of Medgar Evers Airport because at this point it feels like wheels are up at any minute. But hey, one thing we've learned is we never know what to expect with Coach Prime, and so whatever it is, the world will soon see, I'm sure.
Well, if they have a VIP gate, go to that one. Don't hang around Southwest. Go over to the VIP. All right, Steve, we'll let you go. I know you're going to try to run down some information for us. Great work out there. Thanks for the update, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next. Appreciate it. You guys enjoy, and yeah, what a ride.
All right. Work on getting me one of those hats.
I know that's right.
I don't think I do enough work around here. I can't even get a hat.
Some crucial swag there. I like that. I like that.
It is. All right, so let's just kind of recap what happened today. Jackson State had a dominant performance. They knocked off Southern University 43-24 in the SWAC Championship game. Post-game, we heard from the Southern players. We heard from the Southern head coach, Eric Dooley. Everyone was anticipating the comments from Deion Sanders, and everyone at least wanted to hear from his players or somebody from Jackson State. At the very last moment, it was announced Jackson State would not attend the post-game press conference. So we do not get to hear from Jackson State. It has been widely reported. Pete Thamel from ESPN reporting Jackson State's Deion Sanders will be the next head coach at Colorado to the tune of $5 million a year. Cannot be mad at that. Look, Deion Sanders is probably at the point where he's setting up his grandchildren's grandchildren and maybe even farther down the line. If I had a financial opportunity to take care of my family, don't judge me. I think most of us would do what we have to do. I have enjoyed his stay at Jackson State. I kind of felt like when he saw me, he knew who I was. We had very cordial, it's not my job as a media member to be friendly and cozy, but it's not also my calling to be unfriendly and a jerk, and kind of have that stiff, I'm the media, you guys are nice, you report the good, bad, and ugly whenever you have to. But I say all that to say he always treated me well. He treated everyone well. He could hit you with a little quip sometimes if your question wasn't the greatest, but that's anyone. He was very open.
Yes.
Very transparent.
Yes.
A lot of fun and had a huge impact.
And listen, and Coach Prime genuinely tried to bring people together in the community that he lived in the Jackson community. I know he tried to get the governor, Tate Reeves, as well as the mayor to come together to help solve the water crisis and some of the other issues that are plaguing the Jackson community. So again, I applaud his efforts in trying to bring everyone together. And maybe that was one of his frustrations, not being able to fully get that done.
Yeah. Well, we've been on air an hour, 15 minutes now. We're not going to hear from Deion Sanders tonight. I'm just going to do a really quick, let me just check Twitter really quick and see if Deion Sanders has posted anything before we sign off here. But again, let's one more time give the Eagles some love. Your thoughts on the upcoming Celebration Bowl?
Well, listen, as last year proved, yes, Jackson State might be the favorite, but you have to go out there and play the games. And to be honest, I think that Jackson State last year was a little embarrassed by that loss to South Carolina State. But I give the program credit for regrouping, but first acknowledging the excellence of South Carolina State. They went out and beat them to a man, and so they came back to do it again. Jackson State, they ran the table, but on the other side of the MEAC, North Carolina Central, not a lot of folks predicted that North Carolina Central, that the Eagles would be there, but they did what they needed to do. They won in their MEAC championship game, 48-14, convincingly over Norfolk State, and they were the first to make their reservations in Atlanta for December 17th. So I'm going to say it's going to be a toss-up. It's anybody's game. You have to go out and you have to play, and you have to execute on that day.
All right, we'll leave you with the last piece of kind of breaking news and information that we have. This has been a very organic experience. Thank you to everyone who's hanging out with us on YouTube. Stephen J. Gaither, who we just saw live from Jackson, just sent me a text. He has it sourced that a charter flight is leaving at 10 p.m. I would assume with 99.9% probability, he is talking about a charter flight with Deion Sanders aboard. I have sent him a question in real time here to Boulder, just to be sure, because when you report, you got to have all the details.
Absolutely.
But Stephen says a charter flight, from information he has received, is leaving at 10 p.m.
Again, I'll believe.
Are you still on that?
Yeah, I'm so.
You're on that edge, right?
Yeah.
You're on that edge
listen,
right there.
I'm keeping hope alive. I'm keeping hope alive because again, you never know what could happen, man. I've been in this business.
You're gonna fall off that edge.
Listen, I've been in this business long enough to see where coaches will accept the job, get to the job, and then say, never mind, right? I believe, did Pete Carroll do that? Was it Pete Carroll that did that? Or was it Ryan? Might have been Belichick.
With the Browns?
Where you accept the job and you say, never mind.
And he ran out of the building like he didn't want it. Something.
Yeah, like he's being served.
I don't know. Nothing would surprise me with Deion Sanders, but you would have to think. The people, we're not trying to just play this game with you. It's until you hear it from him. You cannot say with 100% certainty, but we have smoke. We have the fire trucks. We have the fire hoses. We have Dalmatians running around. We have all these things.
Of them.
We have to assume there is a fire.
Yes, I can't deny that, but we'll just have to see how it unfolds.
All right.
And can I just take the time?
Sure.
I'd like to thank HBCU Gameday for this opportunity, allowing me to come on. I thought last week was historic with the first HBCU Gameday Classic. at Lincoln University. Very, very proud to be a part of that. And I just want to thank both you and Stephen Gaither and the truly just inspirational job you guys are doing, Tolly. I consider you the best in the business. As a man,
That's
I consider.
not what they said in the comments.
Well,
Somebody said I put them to sleep.
Well, those are people that understand this. Those people that understand this business, that knows what goes on, not only when you're in front of the camera, what goes on behind the scenes. I think you're one of the best to have ever done it, and I'm man enough to sit here and say that. So
well,
I
thank
commend
you. I will pay you either way. Look, we have a lot of fun here. The fact that, look, I called you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, hey, let's do a show. Like, I think it would be appropriate to give people information. And that's all we want to do, folks. I'm not here for my ego. I'm just here to have fun and give you information. And we have given you all the information that we have. Final recap, Jackson State wins. There was no Jackson State presence at the press conference, and we have reports out of Jackson. There's a charter flight taking off at 10 o'clock. I don't know if that's Central or Eastern, but that's the information that we have. Tomorrow, you'll probably see a big announcement out of Boulder, Colorado with a familiar face. Would be the best guess that I have at this point. Dwayne, great job, man. Dwayne
thank
Walker.
you. Thank you.
Look to see this guy more here on the HBCU Gameday platform. You're sick of seeing me. You see me all the time. I'm Tolly Carr from Atlanta. We're going to go spend time with our families now. Spend some time with yours as well. Keep it going in the comments. And for the latest, follow HBCUGameday.com. Thanks a lot to Scoville Jenkins, Jacob Williams for producing and directing tonight's show. And we'll see you guys a little later.